Okay, we're going to adjust this top piece further. We're going to select it. We have the cloth modifier or these other modifiers. For now, we're going to take off the solidify modifier. We want to have this so that the cloth modifier, as well as the other modifiers, are applied. So we'll go to Object, Apply, Apply All Modifiers. Now that we did that, we can shape this top piece without having issues like fraying around here. Shouldn't be an issue now. Okay, since we applied the modifiers for the top, let's do the same for the bottom. We're taking the solidify modifier off temporarily. We can put it back easily. I don't want it applied on the clothes right now. So with this selected, we'll go to Object, Apply, down to Apply All Modifiers. Then we'll select the top piece of clothing again. Okay, what we want to do now is press S to scale on the X axis. I scaled in, so this is a little past this indentation for the shoulder. We'll deal with that. So don't let that concern you. What we're going to do now is we're going to, with this top piece selected, go to the upper left, go to edit mode. We're going to hold, we're going to go to edge select. Not that, select this bottom line. That's what we want. I'm going to hold shift as well as alt. Don't want that. There we go. Okay, so now we have this bottom line selected all the way around. We're going to press O to turn on our proportional editing tool. Then we're going to press G, then Z. I'm rolling my mouse. So what's going on is I'm moving this down, right, towards the pants. I'm also rolling my mouse. Now pay attention to when I roll the mouse. See that circle of influence getting bigger? See how it's affecting the rest of the shirt? That's what I want. I'm spreading out, making the geometry more even. So I'm going to left click to lock in that scale. Okay, what I want to do now is scale this in. So I'm going to press S to scale. So you can see the bottom part scaling in. I'm going to roll the mouse wheel to increase that scale in. I'll left click to lock that in, holding the middle mouse button to rotate. Then I'm going to select a piece there, press G. Move that in some like that. I'll select here. If I want to see the body underneath the clothes, I can go to this X-ray. Works very nice. So I can say it's slightly difficult. I'm going to move this in. We can see like the back part of the back of the body, actual body is here. Press G. Turn off X-ray. Okay. I'm going to go to the upper left. I'm going to go to sculpt mode. I'm going to go to the inflate brush. Be careful of the seams, by the way. So we want to inflate to bring the clothing out, but I'm not clicking here. I'm just moving my mouse to show you. There's the seam. Be careful of that. Really don't want to have that get disturbed. So one thing we can do is we can go to here, see this view global/local. When you're by default, you're in global mode. When I click here, now we're in local mode. So now we can see here, just here. So why don't we come here? Well, we can hold Control, hold Shift, left click and draw to drag mask. That didn't work well, so we'll hold Alt, press M. Mask over the seam there. We can actually go to the for the mask brush, right? We're not going to spend too much time here, so we'll go back to local. If you're careful, you should be able to dodge those seams, I think, anyway. And with this right here, well, let's deal with this. Somewhat touchy there. We'll go to edit mode here. We can adjust the clothing in edit mode without messing up the seam, I think. G, I'm rolling the mouse to make this smaller. Selecting here, even though I can't see the seam, I know that it's there. The more, maybe you don't know. It's the more time you take, the better you can expect things to look. I'll say things like that because I have to remind myself I'm doing a tutorial. You can get caught up. So I'm continually to push I came in here because I was nervous about my seam getting pushed out in a way I didn't want, so that seems like it worked. Excellent. I'll go to the upper left. Well, I'm going to hold Alt, press A to deselect everything. Go to the upper left, then go to Object Mode. Okay, this is kind of strange. So I'm going to go back to the upper left, select there, press G, move that over to the side, go to the upper left, then go to Object Mode. Okay, I'm holding the middle mouse button, taking a look. Most of this is good. So let's go to sculpt mode. Well, this is showing up saying there's no uniform, it's not uniform, so we'll hold Control, press A, select all transforms, go back to sculpt mode, hold Alt, press M to take off the mask tool. I'm holding Shift. When you hold Shift in sculpt mode and Blender, you automatically go to the smooth brush, smooth out. There, I'll go to, now I'm on the deflate, so I'll inflate that. Excellent. We'll go back to the upper left, now go to edit mode. Okay, we want to split this down center. So what we're going to do is we're on edge select, which is good. We'll hold Alt, select this center, or close to the center anyway. I have my mouse to the right of this selected line. So now what I'm going to do is press V. See that? So I ripped this line, which in a way is separating this line from this side, or this side from that side, all right? So now what we want to do is we have the proportional editing tool turned on. We want to select connected proportional editing. So that will allow us to, since we're on this side of the line, we'll only select this geometry and not this geometry. And you'll see what I mean. I'm talking about pulling this to the side like this. As we pull this, I see how that bunches up, that being the mesh. We roll the mouse and we get rid of some of that bunchness. I'm going to left click to lock that in. Now we'll press R to rotate. So now we'll do a similar thing. Hold Alt, press R to rotate like this. We'll move this forward some, that way some. Move this back. Somewhat like that. We'll select here. Press. I'm moving here so I can see how far this is away from like here, right? So I'm going to press. When I say here, I mean like the bottom part of the body. So that's. Select here. Press J, pull that out. Select here. Press G. Bring that in. We'll go to the upper left, go to object mode. Okay, we're gonna roll the mouse and zoom back, select here. We're gonna deal with these seams. So we're gonna go to upper left, go to sculpt mode. We'll go to the pinch brush. What we can do is by taking the mouse, going along this seam. Hopefully you can see how that seam is pulling together. Same thing here, similar thing anyway. You need the mouse to be big, the brush to be bigger. Press F to scale it up. Very good. Okay, we want to get the inside part here. Excellent. Excellent. Okay, we still have some space. We're not going to be too concerned about that for now. We are going to see the kind of like the lumps in the pants. One thing we can do to kind of like have those lumps not be there is we can go to object mode. We can add a smooth modifier. For the factor, we'll change this to 1. And then when I select this monitor, see that? How you can see that smoothness. So and that did do to the pants, make them, come out. Let's take this up to 1. It's even smoother. So you can hopefully see the difference. Oops. So we'll apply this. Hold them the mouse button to take a look. We'll go to the top here. Add a modifier, smooth modifier. Change the factor to 1. I'll take this up. So I'm checking to see if I think it makes things look more controlled. I'm going for a stylistic look. First I was trying to decide like if I wanted like a lot of wrinkles and things like that. I'm like, I'd rather have it be more a clean stylistic kind of look is basically what I'm aiming for. So we have this set to a repeat of 10. I like how it's looking, so we're gonna click apply there. Okay, I'm going to select these pants, go to the upper left, go to edit mode. I'm going to Go towards the back. Hold Control as well as the middle mouse button to get a smooth zoom in. Holding Shift as well as the middle mouse button to pan. Holding the middle mouse button to rotate. Holding Alt, trying to get that edge. I have it. I press R to rotate. Rolling my mouse to shrink the area of influence. I'm going to press G. I'll press G. Shrink this down more. So we push those pants over like that. I'll left click to deselect. Select here. Slight. Adjustments here. Holding the middle mouse button to rotate. I'll go to the, I'm going to hold Alt A to deselect. Go to the upper left and go to object mode. I'm going to zoom back. We have the 3D cursor here. Where the 3D cursor is at is important because where the 3D cursor is at in Blender is where objects tend to come into Blender at. We'll hold Shift, press A. We're going to bring in a cylinder. You'll see this cylinder menu pop up to the side. If you don't see it pop up like that, you might have to select the arrow to see that. We're going to take the vertices to 20. And then we're going to take this cap fill to nothing. We'll push this down like this. Press S to scale on the Z axis like that. Bring this back like that. We'll press S to scale on the X axis like that. Go to scope mode. We're going to hold Control, press A because the transform Blender just told us, if you didn't see that on the bottom, that we might have issues. We'll use the grab brush. We'll select here to turn on symmetry is what I just did. Pushing that in like that. What we're trying to do here is get the basics. So when you see like certain issues, don't be too concerned with certain things going through other things at this point, like the top clothing here. Okay, we're going to go to the upper left, go to object mode. With this selected, well, wait a second. Okay, with this selected, we'll hold Shift, press D, right click, push this down. Some like this. We'll go to, well, we'll press S to scale on the Z. Oops. Okay, we'll go with inside of edit mode. We'll press S to scale on the Z axis like this. It's fine. Don't let that concern you. We're going to hold Control, press R, left click once, because we left click once, we were able to put a loop cut in. Now what we're going to do is hold Control, put a loop cut here. Hold Control R, sorry, is what I'm using to put a loop cut there. Then we're going to select here, hold Shift, select here, press X to bring up our delete menu, choose faces to delete. Now what we're going to do is we're going to select here. Whoops, we're going to edge select. We're going to select here, bottom here, sorry, hold Control, select there. We'll press R to rotate. Oop. So this is when I'm rotating, is rotating here as well. We want to turn this off, this X. Press R to rotate, rolling this up. Now I'm going to press G to move this out to the side here. I'm going to press R to rotate. Press G. Yeah. Select here. You have issues like that. Turn on X-ray. So we'll select here. Hold Shift. Select there. Move that out like that. We'll hold Control. Put in 4 loop cuts. So now we'll select here, hold Control. We use the shortest path technique. When I held Control, I selected here. I selected here, held Control, selected there. Blender connected the points in between. So basically, what's going on here is this is like think of this being connected to that. That's the plan. I'm gonna select here, and it looks like we're trying to go for looks like this part's coming over into here. This part's going over there. That's what we're going for. Select here. Select here. Turn we'll deselect. We'll turn that off. Do not like how this is looking, so I'm going to select here, hold Control, select there, press S to scale on the Z-axis 0. Oops, I'm going to press O to turn off proportional editing. S to scale on the Z-axis 0, and what that does is that flatten things out. That's what I just did there. As I'm looking at this, I'm like, it's probably easier to adjust this in sculpt mode. So I'm going to deselect, go to the upper, well, let's go to object mode, take a look at this, hold Control. Okay. Okay, I'm going to right click, select shade smooth. I'm going to select the belt, right click, shade smooth for there. I'm going to select here, go to sculpt mode. I came to sculpt mode because I think this is actually easier to manipulate in sculpt mode. So we'll use the snake hook brush, grab brush. Both of these are good. A lot of things in Blender, it's like, what is good for the out? Like this actually is probably flight brush. Yeah, see that? Flight brush work better than for this. For how I like to work better than both of the other ones. You'll find a lot of things like that. In Blender. For this here, we can use the opposite. I'm holding Control. The Control does the opposite. So most tools in Blender you'll find make things come out, with the exception of things like the crease brush that you will tend to use a lot. When you hold Control, things go in. So I want this part to come over here more. Let's try to use this. See that dot shows us like right. That's so nice. There's F. We can go to here. It's inflate. These things are still being worked on. You don't want to get too caught up. If you want less like flexibility, the grab brush is often a good pick. Back to the flate. Good. Okay, we're going to go to object mode. With this selected, we'll add a smooth modifier factor of 1. We'll apply that. Sculpt. Come out of sculpt. Even this is a different color. Hopefully you can kind of see like this is set up to make it look like this is, you know, this is this. Things like this, we'll deal with that. At least that's the plan. That's the plan, huh? Let's see, this came apart here. Look at that. The whatchamajig did that. The smooth did that. Brought our seam. It's not. We should be able to pull that together. Okay. In the future, we should be able to do that. Okay, I'm going to hold Shift as well as the middle mouse button to pan the view down. 3D cursors here, where the 3D cursors at in Blender is important because where the 3D cursors at is where objects tend to come into Blender at. We're going to hold Shift, press A. This brings up our Add To menu. We're going to select Plane. We're going to go to the upper left, go to Edit Mode. We're going to press R to rotate on the X-axis 90 with the plane selected. Press Enter to lock that in. We'll move this to the side. I'm talking fast because we still have a lot to get through. We're going to go to the upper left, go to Vertex, select the top vertex, hold Shift, select the bottom vertex, press X, and this brings up our delete menu. We're going to select vertices. We just have these 2 vertices right here. Be aware that we started to manipulate the plane after we came into edit mode, all right? And our object, our vertices are here. Our origin point is there. We're going to go back to object mode. We're going to go to our, looks like a wrench. We're already on it. If you're not on it, go to looks like the wrench. Select here. You're going to select screw. This is what happens to those 2 planes. The important thing to look at here is the screw right here. You're going to drag this to the side. This will make this shape go up. Holding Control as well as the middle mouse button to pan. I'm going to hold Shift as well as the middle mouse button to go down. See how thick these pieces are? What you can do to deal with that is go to Edit Mode. Here in Edit Mode, here's the top of the vertex, here's the bottom. If I go to X-ray, you can see them better. I'm going to select here and then push that down. And now this isn't as thick. I want this to be closer together. So I'm going to left click, go back to object mode. These iterations, we're going to take this up to, let's say 4 iterations. Okay, so with that done, we'll hold Shift, press D, right click, move this to the side. We'll select this, bring this down. Here. Press S to scale. R to rotate on the Y axis like that. I'm going to roll the mouse wheel to zoom in. Move this up like that. I'm going to add a shrink wrap modifier. Select the body as the target. Then I'm going to add a subdivision surface modifier. Add a solidify modifier. take this thickness up like this. So we can see how this is going to look. We'll add a shrink wrap modifier. So we'll go into edit mode. We'll select here. Put this down some like that. Just seeing what effects we can get by adjusting this. So we'll hold shift, press D, right click. Put this down some like that. We'll change the thickness. I'm going to zoom in, hold shift. I'm going to add a shrink wrap modifier. Select the target as the body. We'll add a subdivision surface as well as a solidify. Take the solidify thickness to -15. Take a look at this. We'll go to the screw. We'll bring that down. We'll make another iteration. All right, so now we'll unhide our empty, which is here. We'll add in a mirror modifier. Then for the mirror mod object, we'll press E, select the empty. So now this is mirrored to the other side. Okay, we'll come back and make this look better somewhat later. We'll hold shift. Whoops, hold shift, hold the middle mouse button to rotate, not to pan the view. We'll select here, hold shift, press D. Right click. We made a duplicate of this. It's in the same position, so it doesn't look like we did anything. We're selected on a duplicate. The origin point is currently up here because we applied the transform. To get the origin point back to here, we're going to go to Object, Set Origin to Geometry. Now the origin point is there, so we'll move this up like this. Okay, so we'll go to edit mode. We'll select nothingness to deselect. We'll go to edge select, hold Alt, select this edge because we were holding Alt. We select the entire edge. We'll push this down, something like that. Press S to scale that in, something like that. Okay, what we're going to do now is we're in global view. You're in global view by default. Normally, we're going to go to view global/local. We're going to select this, and then we'll go into local mode. That will allow us to only see this. It's easier to work that way sometimes. And now here we are in local mode. So what we're going to do is we're going to press first K. K activates a knife tool, right? We want to cut through the front of what we see, but also what we don't see, which is the faces out of view, right? So when you press K, you'll select just what's visible. We're going to press Z. Wait a second, is that right? Yeah, we're going to press Z. So now we'll left click and drag. Then press enter. All right. K, Z, left click and drag, left click, then enter. There we go. Excellent. And what I was checking was that we cut here as well as there. Normally, if you didn't press Z, you would see just this. When we went to see here, you wouldn't see a cut there. All right. So you want to cut diagonal lines like going across, right? So we press K, then Z, we left click and then drag. Then we left click to lock this in, then press enter. We press K, then Z, left click and then drag. Left click, press enter. We press K and then Z and then left click and drag. We left click and then press enter. So now with that done, we'll with edge select, we'll hold Alt select here, hold Shift while holding Alt, right? I'm gonna hold Control, press B, holding Shift for fine selection. I'm dragging the mouse. I'm gonna left click. I am gonna press X and then that brought up our delete menu, then choose faces to delete. Now I'm gonna go to view / local. I'm gonna hold Alt here, move that up something like that. I'll go to X-ray, hold Alt, press O. To turn on proportional editing, by the way, press S to scale. We're in connected proportional editing, so we need to actually connected proportional editing. You just work with what you have currently connected to. So we turn this off. So now when we press S to scale, we'll scale everything in somewhat. I'm rolling my mouse because I want the top part not to be particularly scaled in. So now we go back to X-ray. Back to object mode. Okay. Okay, what we're going to do now is select there. Go to scope mode. We'll hold Control. We selected inflate. Actually, I'm going to turn off symmetry by looking to the upper right, selecting the X buttons. Now I'm holding Control. Control does the opposite of inflate, so it's deflating. Okay, I'll hold Control as well as the mouse button to zoom back. I'll go to the upper left and go to object mode. I'll left click on nothingness to deselect. Okay, I'm going to select this belt, hold Control, zoom in, go to the upper left, go to edit mode. I'll hold Control, left click because I left click once, I can move this loop cut. So I'll move this to here. I'll hold Control, press R, left click once because I left click once, I can move the loop cut. So I moved it to there. So now I'm gonna hold Alt, select here, hold Shift, select here, then hold Control, press B to move my mouse to the side. I'll roll the mouse wheel one time. Then do I want to roll it one more time? I'll leave it here. I'll left click. So now I have this center line here, so I'm going to hold Alt to select there, hold Shift, then select there. Then I'm going to hold Alt, press S. Oops, I'm going to press O to turn off proportional editing. Hold Alt, press S. This is a special kind of scaling that allows you to do like a skinny, make things skinny or fatter. So we were able to make that indentation there. I'm going to hold Control, put another loop cut next to this line. When you put loop cuts next to other loop cuts, it tends to make things have a sharpness to them. So I'm putting loop cuts next to the it's almost, there are also sometimes like supporting loop cuts. So that's what I'm doing here, putting these loop cuts to kind of support the other loop cuts. Hold control as well as the middle mouse button to zoom back. Left click on nothingness to deselect. Go to the upper left to go to object mode. Okay. Okay, we're going to make some pouches for the belt. So the 3D cursors there, where the 3D cursors in Blender is important because where the 3D cursors at is where objects tend to come into Blender at. We're going to hold shift, press A, bring in the cube, right? Hold the middle mouse button to rotate the view. Hold shift as well as the middle mouse button to pan. Bring this down. Move to the side some. We'll press S to scale on the Z axis. When I'm thinking about pouches, one of the things I'm thinking about, I'm going to press S to scale on the Y axis, is how to make this look somewhat smooth, somewhat cloth-like. So this is going to be the main area that holds things. So what we're going to do is go to the upper left, go to edit mode. We're going to go to face select the top of the face, select the front of the face, hold shift, press D, right click. Going fast, we still have a lot of work to do. Got to work on the face, the mask, the hands, all that. So we have this duplicated right here. We're going to press P. This brings up our separate menu. We're going to choose selection, right? I'm going to left click, go to the upper left, go to object mode. So now I'm going to select here, go into the edit mode for here. So now I'm going to select these two faces, press E to extrude, bring this out like this. I'll select this top, bring this up like this. I can go to edge select to see this like angle like thing there. So we'll select here, pull this back some. Something else we can do is hold control, press R, put a loop cut here. Left click once. See how this is, I'll go here so you can see. See this angle here, I don't like that. So I'm going to press S to scale on the Z axis 0. It's a fairly easy way to make things flattened out. I'm going to move my mouse beneath this line, press V, so this is ripped. Left click, right? I'm going to go to face select, hover here, press L. That when you press L, when you hover over a separate object, it tends to select the entire object. We're going to press X, then choose faces to delete. Okay, so we have this. I'm going to hold control. This area here, so we'll go to edge select. Hold Alt, select there. We'll press F to fill that, which is good. Now what we're going to do is we're going to hold control, press R. Actually, I don't want that. I'm rolling the mouse wheel back. I've rolled the mouse to bring loop cuts, and I rolled them to take them away. Now, left click here, left click a second time, so those are locked in. I can scale these loop cuts out. So I'm going to press S to scale on the X axis like this. Doing this to add detail to this this pouch area. I'm going to hold control, press B. That allows me to bevel. I'm going to roll the mouse wheel once. That lets me put a bevel line in there. I'll left click once, left click a second time to lock that in. I'll hold Alt, select this center edge. Then I'll hold Alt, press S. It's a special kind of scale that lets things scale in like that. I'll left click to deselect. Okay, I'm going to go back to the upper left. With this selected, I'll hold Shift, hold Control, press J. So now these two objects they're still like separated, but they're one object again. I selected this to push this out some and then up some so that things can look like there's space in between here. Now what I'm going to do is go to the upper left, go to object. I'm going to hold control. Whoops, I'm not going to do that. I do want this selected. So make sure this is selected. We're going to go to subdivision surface. When you put the subdivision surface, you obviously saw what happened. Okay, how can we have this not happen? Remember I told you about the loops. So we're gonna select the monitor, right? We'll go in here. So what we'll do is we're gonna put in support and loop. So we'll hold Control, press R, put in a loop. So we put this, when you put edge loops next to an edge, it makes things, when they have a subdivision surface modifier on them, tend to be sharp. The closer you are to the edge, the sharper things will get. So I tend to, with cloth-like things, like to put things kind of near the edge, but not too close. I'll hold Control, press R. Control, press R. So that's what I'm doing, is basically using that philosophy. Moving this so I can see it better. Held shifting the middle mouse button to pan. Hold the middle mouse button to rotate. Hold Control, press R. So these are supporting loops. So now with those loops, go to the upper left, go to object mode. We'll turn, and now you can see like this. It doesn't look super. It doesn't. It has like softness to it, but it basically kept its shape. We'll left click to deselect. Okay, we'll select this. Press S to scale this down. Move this into position. You can determine how big you want this to look. I'll press R to rotate on the Z-axis. And I would think you kind of want to think like. You have a ninja character, you want him to be able to move around, however it's useful to be able to carry things. So my thinking is if its ability to carry things are too small, then why even have it? So I also kind of like the fact that it's kind of like emphasized, like, you know, there's these packs. So they're somewhat bulky. You can always change it. I kind of like that though. I'm going to press R to rotate on the Z-axis. Looks like he can carry a decent amount of stuff. So yeah, he's given up, I'm guessing, maneuverability, but gaining his ability to carry supplies. Okay, we're about to start working on the head. So what we'll do is make this look better. Let's select here. This edge split will make this look sharp. It should make it look a lot better. I think it does. With this right here, we'll add a subdivision surface, solidify modifier, edge split. And what we can do is we can select this, and then select this last, this being the active object. And we can actually let's select this, hold this. So I selected this last. We can hold Control, press L. This brings up our make links. I'm not sure if this is an add-on that's included with Blender or not. I'm not sure. You're going to click modifiers, and then that modifier is applied to here. So that looks too thick. So yeah, it gives it, you know, like that stylistic look I'm going for. This here, I'm going to go to Object, Set Origin to Geometry. Let's make this bigger. Left click to deselect. I'm thinking we can add, let's try it. We'll select here, hold shift, add the modifiers to there, control L, then select modifiers. Yeah, that looks better with, I think, some thickness. Taking a look. Okay, what we're going to do now is select here, hold shift, press D, right click, move this to the side, press R to rotate, Y, -90. We're going to press S to scale on the Z axis like that, S to scale on the X axis like that. Move this over, press S to scale, R to rotate on the Y axis like this. R to rotate on the Y axis. R to rotate on the Y axis. I'll press S to scale on the Y axis. I'll left click to deselect. Okay, we're gonna start working on the head. So I'm gonna click on the empty, press H to hide that. I'm gonna hold Control as well as the middle mouse button to zoom in. I'm gonna select here. Bring them in some like that. Where the 3D cursors at in Blender is where objects tend to come in the Blender at. That's important because we're about to bring a cube in. So we're going to hold Shift, press A, bring in a cube. We're going to press S to scale on the X axis. Believe it or not, this cube is actually for our nose. There's many different ways of doing things inside of Blender, as well as other graphic programs. I spend a decent amount of time. I press S to scale on the Z axis there, trying to get the nose into like a squarish shape. While sculpting, I'm like, why don't I just bring in a cube? Anyway, there it goes. Okay, so as far as the nose goes, I'm going to select it. Looks like a triangle. Go to remesh, and then I'm with this the setting mode voxel 0.1. I'm going to select voxel remesh to give geometry to the nose. Checking right there to make sure it worked, and it did. For the head here, I'm going to go Object, Apply all modifiers. Same thing for the lower part of the face. Object, Apply all modifiers. the ears, object, apply all modifiers. Then I'm going to left click to deselect. I'm going to select the bottom part of the mouth, go to edit mode. Mainly came here because I wanted to see the geometry. I'm going to go to, it looks like a triangle. I'm going to change this to 0.01. Press enter. And then I'm going to, with the mode being voxel, select voxel remesh. I did this to increase the geometry. I'm going to hold control as well as the middle mouse button to zoom in. We'll do the same thing, similar thing for the top of the head. 0.01, press enter, voxel remesh. Excellent. Okay, we're going to select this bottom part of the face. We're going to go to sculpt mode. I'm going to make sure I have symmetry turned on, so that's to the upper right. Select X. Holding shift to smooth this out some. More push it in. I'm going to go to crease. And basically what I'm doing here is putting myself in the mindset to go to scrape to work on the planes of the face. Make sure they're in there, even slightly exaggerated some. If I want this plane to be hard here, which I do, I can hold control. This is excellent for making harder edges while sculpting. Kind of want that overdone. I'm going to scrape, flatten this out some here. Get to the blob, put in some geometry here. So I'm holding shift, by the way, to smooth that out. Okay, I'm going to roll the mouse wheel back. I'm going to hold shift. Okay, too far. What I want to do is separate this, separate the bottom part of the lower part of the face to make it easier to work. So I'm going to hold, shift, then hold control, and then drag. Down like that. Looks good. So now with, I put a mask on is what I did, right? So now I can go up to the upper left where you see mask. And then I can select mask slice to new object. So now this, wait a second. Okay, so I moved this out, and then I left clicked, right, dragged my finger, didn't left click, and then I right clicked. Blender right click is kind of like a mini undo. Okay, the reason why I was saying that is I moved this out to make sure that this actually had a solidness to it, for lack of a better word. I'm gonna click here, go to sculpt mode. You can see the mask is still there, so I'm going to hold Alt and then press M to take away the mask. I'm going to select this again. I'm going to press S to scale in the Y-axis slightly. The origin point is up here. That's fine. And now I'm going to select here, go back to sculpt mode. I'm going to go to the mask brush. Press F to shrink this. I'm going to hold Shift, press B, and then draw a zoom box to zoom in slightly closer. So now I am drawing this area for the lip to come in. You want the nose, you want there to be a depression in between the nose and the lip. That's, what I'm thinking is put that in there. I'm going to hold Control, press I. I inverted this. So what I'm going to do is use the blob brush, put a bump here, and then bring out the rest of the lip there. The way I kind of like to do it is to overdo it, and then go to the scrape brush to flatten that out some. I'll hold Shift. Too much there. Okay, I'm going to hold Alt, press M to take away that mask. Okay, I'm going to go back to object mode, select here, go back to sculpt mode. Say non-uniform shape, it being blender. So I'll hold Control, press A, which means up our apply menu, I'll select all transforms, then go back to the upper left, then go back to sculpt mode. So here I'll do a similar thing, go to the mask. Because this is a separate object, it's fairly easy to work with. So I'm drawing the bottom lip out there. I'll hold Control, press I, invert the mask. The mask protects whatever it's over, so allows me to work. I'll go to this scrape. Thinking with my mind right now is mainly getting the basics in. Things can be adjusted later. I'll hold Alt, press M to take away that mask. Okay, now I'm going to go to the blob brush, press F to shrink the brush. I'm holding Control, which lets me dig in rather than dig out, so to say. I'm going to hold Shift. Shift as well as middle mouse button to pan. Using a blob brush to put some geometry for the chin here. I'm letting go of Control, so putting like kind of like this these shapes that the face has. I go to the crease brush, trying to get that kind of split that you see in the lip. Again, thinking more of the basics for this. I go to object mode, select here, sculpt mode, blob brush, that bump you see in the nose there. I'm going to hold Control here. I'll hold shift to smooth this out some. Okay, we're going to go to object mode, select the nose. We're in remesh. You can see the green triangle, voxel. We're going to change this setting voxel size to 0.01. Press enter and then select voxel remesh. Now we're going to go to sculpt mode. Make sure you go back to object mode. I see a warning. Hold control, press A, select all transforms. We'll go back to sculpt mode. Look towards the top. Make sure you have symmetry turned on. Okay. I'll hold shift. Holding shift here. I'll go to snake hook brush to put bend in the nose. Here I'll go to for the nostrils, I'm going to go to the blob brush. Go to object mode, select here. Sculpt mode, I'll go to scrape here. Flattening that out. For the nostrils, I'll hold shift as well as the middle mouse button to pan. Okay, we're going to go to object mode, select the nose, go to sculpt mode. We're going to hold shift. Just move out some there. We'll add some geometry with the blob brush. I'll go to the snake hook. You want to make this big enough so you can move the nostril without pulling pieces out, so to say. We'll go to the blob brush. We're going to hold control. So that let us get our nostrils in. We'll go back to the snake hook. I'm going to lower down the geometry on this. I can do that by putting in 0.008, selecting voxel remesh. Okay, we're going to select this part of the head. We're going to press, that's the scale on the Y axis like this. push this forward like that. Then we're going to go, well, we're going to hold Control, press A to bring up our apply menu, select all transforms. Then we're going to go to sculpt mode. We're going to make sure we turn on symmetry. Near the upper right, I selected X. We're then going to hold Shift, hold Control. What we're actually trying to do here is put in a slice to get that plane there. So we're going to go to Mask, and then Mask Slice and Fill Holes. So now we have that plane there. We're going to hold Alt, press M to get rid of the plane. Okay, there's these planes on the side of the head. So what I'm going to do is press F to shrink my brush. I'm going to hold Shift, hold Control, then left click and drag. I'm going to go to Mask, Slice, and Fill Holes. Then I'll hold Alt, then press M. Okay, I'm going to go to Object Mode, select here, go to Sculpt Mode, go to the Scrape Brush, press F to increase the size of my brush. Then I'm flattening this out. It's very easy to do because the nose is a separate shape. Okay, I'm going to go to the crease brush, zoom in, press F, holding Control, shape that. I go to the elastic deform brush. Switch to the snake hook brush to get more freedom. Go to Object Mode, select here. To the elastic deform brush, press F. Bring that back some. Select back here. Elastic deform. Yeah, you have to switch back and forth when you're doing these modes. However, it is nice being able to work without having to be too concerned about masking. To the crease brush. A lot of times I'll kind of overdo things because um, we'll lose a lot once we join the shapes together. I'm gonna flatten this out like that. Press F to shrink the size of my brush. Okay, I'm going to go back to the upper left, select the nose. Press inflate. Okay, I need the freedom of the snake hook brush. Crease brush here. Holding shift to smooth there. I'll go to object mode to here. Use the elastic to form. Hold control, zoom back. I'm going to go to object mode. Hold S to scale on the Z axis like this. S to scale on the X axis like this. That's the scale on the Z axis, something like that. Okay, we're going to hold shift, press A. We're going to bring in a UV sphere. Press S to scale this down. When I have about the size of oh, that's rough. Okay, with this, we'll put a mirror modifier on here. You don't have to unhide the empty as far as I know to use it. We're using the empty for the mirror object. I just want you to know why it's doing what it's doing there. As far as like how it's mirroring. I'm going to select here, press S to scale on the X axis. I'll do Control A, all transforms, select here, Control A, all transforms, I'll select here, oops, here, Go to scope mode. Pull up some there like that. I'll select the eye. Select apply. I'll put a subdivision surface on it. Apply it. Okay, with the eye selected, I'll hold Control, press A, select all transforms. I'll go to scope mode. Press B for box select. Then I'll select mask. Mask slice to new object. I'll go set origin. Actually, I'll hold shift, select here. I'll hold shift, press S. This brings up our snap to menu. I'm gonna choose cursor to selected. That's what I tried to do. Shift S. It's interesting. What? Because it's 2, it won't do it. Okay, we'll go to front view. Hold shift. Right click. Shift right click, so I have an approximation. That's frustrating. Shift S. Cursor to selected. It won't do it. Shift S. That's interesting. That's right. Cursor to active. That's very strange. Okay, we'll do set origin to geometry. Hard to rotate on the x-axis like that. Shift A, bring in another sphere. Press S to scale. Select this, put a mirror on it. Press E, select empty. It's very strange. Okay, I get it. So I applied this. I'll select here, press L, X, faces to delete. So with this selected now, we'll put a mirror on this. Select E. Same thing here, mirror. Select E. There we go. Okay, I'm going to hold the middle mouse button to rotate the view. Hold shift as well as the middle mouse button to pan the view. I'm going to select the nose. I go to upper left, go to scope mode. Pull that down some. Hold the middle mouse button to take a look. Okay, I'm going to go to the upper left, go to object mode. Okay, I'm going to select here, go to the upper left, go to sculpt mode, go to the blob brush, press F to scale the size of my brush, put some brow shape here. I'm going to go to object mode, select the nose, go to scope mode. Okay, what I'm going to do now is go to object mode. We're going to add some smoothing to this, and hopefully you'll see the amazing things that smoothing can actually do to make mesh look better, particularly mesh faces. So I'm going to select here, go to add modifier, select a smooth modifier, change the factor to 1, press enter, change the repeat to 20. Then I'm going to select here, hold shift, select here as well as here, then I'll select here. Now I'm going to hold control, then press L. This brings up our make links menu. I'm then going to select modifiers. So now that smooth was applied to all of these different pieces here. I'm going to select this part of the face. Go to sculpt mode. I'll go to inflate to make this less pushed in here. I'll hold shift. Holding shift again. Filling in some of that there. Adding some cheekbone stuff that I want to shape. I'll take the scrape. Oh, I see. All right, so actually what I'm going to do is I'm going to select here, 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 as well as here. Then I'm going to select here, and then I'm going to select I'm going to go to object, apply all modifiers. So now we should have an easier time shaping things. I'm going to hold the mouse button to rotate the view. We'll select here. We'll go to scope mode. See that warning, so we'll go back to object mode. I'll hold control, press A. That brings up our apply menu. I'll select all transforms. I'll go back to scope mode. Go to the snake hook brush. Press F to make the size of my brush bigger. Make the chin thinner. I'll press F. Change the size of the brush. I'm holding shift to smooth out some of this here. And this is being smoothed out. It's not a bad thing. So yeah, I'm using the crease brush to bring this line down some here. While I'm on crease, I'll hold control. Make that somewhat harder. However, I'll go to here, go to the elastic deform. Okay, it looks like snake brush. It is. Holding shift to smooth that out. Did too much. Inflate quickly. Bring us back up. Yeah, that is, sometimes I do forget to look. My bottom view. If your lips get bunched out up like this, most of the time flatten brush will very quickly get them back in line. Smoothing this out. Here, object mode, select here, go to sculpt mode. Snake brush to bring this back. Some. You can also adjust this. As long as your basic shape remains, you really don't have to be too concerned, because if you have that basic shape, you can get back fairly quickly. Like by adjusting that, I took away some of the shapes. However, yeah, it's comes back pretty quick. Since we're here, we'll go to the scrape brush. It's my favorite tool for flattening things out. So we'll push this back some there. There's a plane that comes right off of this plane. So right now I'm thinking about that. Now we're also, a lot of this is going to be covered up by the ninja mask that we're going to make. Press F. I'm going to hold control, which gives you a sharp, letting go of control. This is starting to look strange. What I'll do is go here, go down, and then I'll remesh that. So now things look better. I'm holding control to get a sharp. Oh, that's a different part. Okay. Like this sharp thing right here. Go to object mode. And when I hold them the mouse button, go back to sculpt, go to scrape, flatten some of this out, some here. Go to object mode, select here, go to sculpt, go to the crease brush. Before that, the scrape brush. Flatten this out some here. Here as well. Flatten this here out. I'm going to remesh this. Go to snake hook. Pull that down, something like that. Holding shift. Smooth that out. I'm going to hold control with the crease to reshape the lip. I can go to the scrape brush, flatten this front part out. Object mode, select here, go to scope mode, inflate this actually, and then flatten it out so it looks stringed like I'm bringing it up. I'll select refresh or remesh. Then what I'm going to do is take scrape, flatten that out. Go to Alt Shift. Of course, if we, like I did, grab this, pull this out, holding shift to blend that in. Go to elastic to form, drag that back. I have to tell myself not to get caught up. Doing a tutorial. Yeah, go to object mode, select here, go to scope mode, crease brush, there's this thing, I mentioned it before, in between the nose and the mouth. Hold shift, crease brush, bring back that lip. Press F. Shift to smooth that. I'm going to hold down the mouse button and rotate the view. Select the nose. Go to scope mode. crease brush to harden the nose up, the edges particularly. It's kind of like this line that you can make that kind of like runs across the nostrils, like up across here. And in here, this here has been select remesh here. Remesh again. Like I said, we want to be careful too because this is mostly going to be covered by a mask. So let's select here, go to wrench, smooth modifier, factor of 1, repeat 20. Looks much better. We'll select here, hold shift, select here last because this has a modifier on it. Hold control, press L. So we can our make links menu. We'll select the modifiers. So we have that modifier on everything. Select here. Go to scope mode. I'll zoom back. Zoom in. Okay. Press F. Holding shift to smooth that out. Crease to actually put detail back in that I lost. Go to here, sculpt. We'll use elastic deform here. Shift to smooth this out here. Okay. Object mode, select here. Scope mode. So now we should be able to use the elastic deform to make fairly quick changes that don't destroy our character but allow us to change things fairly dramatically. It's important to get angles from the bottom. As well as the top. All right, I'll try to free myself from here. So we'll apply Smooth modifiers. Now what we're going to do is join these pieces together. So select here, select there last. We'll do Control J. And then we'll go to remesh. We'll select voxel remesh. So now these are all these shapes are finally one piece, one actual piece. So one of the things that's important to remember about the head, like what we did to remesh, is there should be no internal pieces now. So what you see on the surface is what you see, where before we did the remesh, you would have shapes intersecting with each other below the surface. So we'll go in. Holding shift. Then we'll do of course, our classic fix things quickly. Put a smooth modifier on 120 might be a lot. I'm gonna apply it. Go to the crease brush. Bring back the crease here. I'm holding Control. Putting a line in for the lips. Here. Making that sharp there. Here. 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 There. Pretty much I like, for the most part, the features. So to adjust them, I'll use the inflate brush. If you want to work without causing an issue, what you can do is hold shift, hold Control, draw a lasso, select. So I wanted to decrease the thickness of the lower lip. Hold Alt M. And what I did was I put a mask on, which allowed me to protect the lip as I was working with it. Zoom out, take a look. I'm going to select all these pieces, whoops, to deal with the head. Click on it. Oh, it's getting the back of the neck, I see. Press C for paint select. Select this as well. Press S to scale. Okay. I zoom back. I'm going to press B for box select. Select the body. I'm going to press S to scale and the Z It's not that much. Z-axis. Okay. Okay, we need to get our bottom eyelids back. I'm going to hold shift as well as the middle mouse button. Pan, I'll zoom in. I'm going to go to the upper right, go to X-ray. There we go. So that the bottom eyelids have been pushed back some, so I'm pushing them forward. Since I have these selected, I'm going to turn off X-ray. I'm going to press S to scale on the X-axis. Push down some. Drag them back some. I press R to rotate on the X-axis. There we go. Okay, this is a ninja character, so let's go ahead and make our ninja mask. So where the 3D cursor is at in Blender is where objects tend to come into Blender at. I just held the middle mouse button, rotate. I'm going to hold shift, press A. I'm going to bring in a cube. I'm going to make this cube rounded. The reason why I'm using a cube instead of just a sphere is because the topology of a sphere generally tends to work better. It's fairly easy to round a sphere out. I mean, not a sphere, sorry. It's fairly easy to round a cube out, so that's why I'm using this instead of a sphere. Anyway, with this on, we're going to select the wrench to the right. Okay, we're going to add a subdivision surface modifier. Then once we have this, we're going to go to the upper right. We're going to click this arrow, select duplicate. This one right here, this subdivision surface is what I'm talking about. We're going to apply that to have geometry and give us our basic shape. We're going to push this forward. I'll press S to scale on the Y-axis. Slightly. S to scale on the Y-axis again. Now what we're going to do is go to the upper left and go to edit mode. Okay, so what we're going to do here is we're going to, actually let's go back to object mode. We're going to apply this as well. So now we're in edit mode. We can see our geometry here. What we're going to do here is press S to scale on the Z-axis like this. We'll push this down. We can go to X-ray to have a better view of what's going on. We really want to have this be, see the front here, how it's like, oops. The front here is matching up with the forehead. We want that rather than having this be too far. So when I say that, I mean the front of this, we want to be thinking of this matching up with the forehead rather than the whole head, if that makes sense. So now we're going to turn off X-ray. And then what we're going to do here is I'm going to hold Control, press R to put a loop cut here. I'm going to hold Alt, select that loop cut. I'm going to move my mouse underneath the loop cut, press V so I could rip this, right? Now I'm going to turn back on X-ray mode. So I can see I'm going to go to the upper left, go to vertex select. I'm selecting the chin right here. I'm going to press O to turn on the proportional editing tool. You can see it there. I'm going to select the arrow next to the proportional edit tool, turn on connected only. This will allow us to control more than one vertex, edge, or face at a time. However, we'll only control this separate piece rather than that top separate piece. So with this selected, I'll press G. The main reason I'm pressing, well, G lets me move. Right now what I'm thinking is I'm pressing that G so I can see that circle, which is the area of influence. I'm rolling my mouse to control that, right? So now I'm moving this down. I've right-clicked. I'm going to press G, then Z, so I can only move down like that. And I'm going to press G, then Y. Now, the reason why I'm pressing that is that's allowing me to just move on certain axes. All right, so I'm going to left-click to deselect, go back to the X-ray to turn that off. Looking here, I'm going to hover here because I see like the faces here are smaller than here. So I'm going to hold Control, press R, put a loop cut there. Same thing here. I'm doing that to even out the loops. I mean, the faces, you generally want them to be about the same size. So that's why I did that. So we have this bottom piece here. I'm going to go to face select, hover here, then press L. When you have face select selected, and then you press L and you hover over an area like a whole shape, you can see that whole shape. So that's what's going on here. I wanted to see this line here because I want to pull this down. This is going to be the bottom part of the ninja mask. This is going to be the top part. That's the plan. I'm going to left click here, hold Alt. I would need to go to edge select. So I'm letting go of Alt, selecting the edge, going here. I'm going to press G. Excellent. So what I'm doing is I have G. I press G. Now I'm going to press Z. See that preview line that locks me into moving up and down? So now I'm moving this down slightly. I'm then going to left click, and then with this selected, now what I can do is press R to rotate on the X axis. I'm going to shrink the area of influence because I really want to rotate the edge, not the face. Just to have this line, not just to have this line move beneath the nose there. And what I'm going to do now with the edge select on, I'll select here. It's selected. I believe it's hard to see. I'm going to hold Control, select here. That I use the shortest path technique where I select it there, held Control, then select it here. Blender selected the edge pieces in between. I'm going to press G, then Y. As I'm moving this out, I'm rolling my mouse to make the area of influence bigger for the face. I'll go to vertex select. I see this part sticking out here. So I'm going to click there, right? If that points too much, so I'll press G. And then I want like the dot, see the dot like right behind. I'm trying to like aim at it with the vertex. I want to move that back. So I increase the area of influence. If I have pieces of the mask sticking out, I'm not going to be concerned about it because I can, there's various, this isn't good. You don't want this going to the side. There's various things we can do to, get the mask to not come through. So don't be concerned about things going to the side. I'm going to hold Alt, press G, then Z. Move this down slightly more. I'm now going to select here, this front part here. Press G to move that out slightly, like that. I'll left click to deselect. Okay, this bottom part of the mask I want to stick closer to the face. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the upper left, go to face select, hover over the mask, press L. That lets me select the whole mask. I'm then going to press P. This brings up the separate menu. I'm then going to choose selection. So now this mask is its own object, right? So what that means is I'm going to put a modifier on this that won't affect that, which is good. So I'm going to go to the upper left, go to object mode, select this mask here, go to add modifier, shrink wrap, go to the target, select the eyedropper, select the face. So now we have the shrink wrap right there, which made the mask much closer to the face. I don't want the mask to be quite that close to the face. So what we can do is go to this offset to bring the mask out some. I like how it is right there. Okay, I'm going to go to the upper left, go to edit mode, check the how much geometry there is. I'll go back to object mode, taking a look. I like how the mask is set up, so I'm going to apply this modifier. I'm going to put a subdivision surface modifier on here. Let's try. Let's see what this looks like with another shrink wrap. Taking the offset to make this come out. Let's move the shrink wrap above the subdivision surface. I'm going to take these off. See later. So with this here, I'm going to go to the top part of the mask. I'm going to go to edit mode. I'm going to go to the upper left, hold Alt, press O to turn on proportional editing. Go ahead on, turn it back on, G, then Z to move this up some. Reason why I'm moving this up some is I want this part to come down. So now I'm selecting that one vertex, press G, then Z. Yeah, see that? That's what I want. I'm gonna hold Control, press R. Control R to put a loop cut in. The reason why I did that is I don't want necessarily this point here. I'm going to press O to turn off the proportional editing tool. I want this to come down, but not necessarily that point that you see there. I'm going to select this, press S to scale on the X-axis like this. Forward some like that. Object mode. Right click, select shade smooth. Right click, select here. Right click, shade smooth. Okay, we're gonna select here, go to sculpt mode, go back because we saw the meshes at the bottom. We'll hold Control, press A, select all transforms. Now go back to sculpt mode, turn on symmetry on the upper left. We have the inflate brush selected, which is good because we're using this to bring this mask out more. Good, we'll go back to object mode. Now we'll select this bottom mask. Let's hold Control, press A, select all transforms. Go to the upper left, go to scope mode. We have the inflate brush on. Go to the upper right, turn on symmetry mode. This is symmetry mode on the x-axis, which is left and right, and then we'll do very similar to what we did for the top, for here. Excellent. We'll go back to the upper left, go back to object mode. Okay, looking at the mask here, I realize I want more geometry for this. So I'm going to add a subdivision surface modifier to this. I'm going to apply it. I'm going to select here, add a subdivision surface modifier. I'm going to apply this as well. Okay, we're going to select the bottom mask, go to the upper left, go to sculpt mode. We're going to, with the inflate brush one, we're going to inflate. We have symmetry turned on for the ear. Inflate to get the mask to show. Excellent. We'll go back to object mode. Okay, we want to select the top mask, go to the upper left, go to sculpt mode. Do what we did before. Go back to object mode, hold the mouse button to rotate the view. I'm going to roll the mouse wheel to zoom back. I'm going to select here. I'm going to press S to scale on the x-axis twice. I push X twice. That lets that line switch so that we can scale this down. Like this. I'm going to hold the middle mouse button to rotate the view. I'm going to press S to scale on the y-axis like this. Doing this so this belt better fits the body. I'm going to go to the upper left, go to edit mode, go to the upper right, turn on X-ray. Press B for box select. Select this back part of the belt here. I want face select, actually. I'm going to pull this back. I'm going to turn off X-ray so I can see this coming through like that. Okay, what we're going to do is look here, turn on X-ray. We're going to left click to deselect, press B for box select, select here, press R to rotate on the Y axis up, or turn on proportional editing. This angle is different from that angle where this is supposed to be sitting at, so we're going to press O, turn on the proportional editing, press R to rotate on the Y axis. We want to turn this, you want to be careful of deforming the belt. This looks like it's more, R to rotate, more in alignment now. The shoulder, you want to be careful of not like, particularly like these edges, you don't want to really have them change much. So like here, what we can do here, we can select here, press G and then Z. And this should let us adjust the belt without making it not look right. So this is something that's done better in edit mode than in sculpt mode. So we'll press G and then move that, left click to deselect, go to the upper left and go to object mode. Okay, we're going to zoom back. Hold the middle mouse button, rotate. I'm going to hold Alt, press H to bring our hands back. I'm going to hold Shift as well as the middle mouse button to pan. With the hand selected, well, I deselected the hand. I'm going to press B for box select, select the entire hand. I'm going to hold Shift then select the center part. I'm letting go of shift. The reason why I did that was I made this the active object, right? I am going to go to object, apply all modifiers to apply all of the modifiers to all of the different pieces of the hands there. With all of those pieces selected, with this center piece being the active piece. The active piece is the last piece that's selected. You can also tell it's the active piece because it has like this outline around it. So with that active piece being selected, I'm going to hold Control, then press J. What I did there was I joined all of the pieces of the hands together. Okay, with the pieces of hands joined together like that, I'm going to go to the upper left, go to Edit Mode, go to X-ray. I have face select on. I'm going to press B for box select, select this whole hand. Press X to bring up our delete menu, then choose faces to delete. I'm going to go back to X-ray to turn that off, go back to the upper left, go back to object mode. Okay, I'm going to zoom in. This hand will be easier to work with without that other hand. We can easily put a mirror modifier back on here as well. What we want to do now is go to Add Modifier, add a subdivision surface modifier. Click, we're doing this towards the right hand of the screen. Select Apply. There's internal pieces of this hand that we don't want. To do that, we're going to get rid of that. We're going to go to Remesh. We want the mode to be voxel. For the voxel size, we want this to be 0.04. Then enter. We're setting this size so that the hand stays pretty much the same. This size will also allow like the tight areas in between the fingers to not try to join in a way that we don't want them to join. With that all said, here's the voxel remesh. We're about to click this, so let's click it. So now this is remesh, so the internal parts of this hand should be gone now, which is what we want. Okay, to make the hand smoother, we'll go to the wrench, which lets us go to our modifiers. We're going to add in a smooth modifier. For the factor, we're going to change this to 1. Let's try the repeat for this at 25. Does a fairly decent job of smoothing out the hand, so we'll apply that. I'm going to zoom back. What we want to do is let's press R to rotate on the Z axis 90. We'll press enter to lock that in. We'll move this up, move this into position here. I'm going to want some extra geometry for the hands. What I'm going to do is hold shift, press A, bring in a cube, move the cube over. I'm going to put a subdivision surface on this cube, duplicate the subdivision surface, apply, then apply, press S to scale, bring this down like this, this over. Okay, with that done, I'm going to click Add Modifier, Mirror. The mirror object I'll select, press E, select the empty. I'll actually select this, hold Shift, select that, hold Control, press L. This brings up our Make Links menu. And then I'll select Modifier. So now the mirror modifier was copied to this as well as the mirror object setting for empty. Okay, I'm going to zoom in, hold the middle mouse button to rotate the view. I'm going to select here, press S to scale this down, push that over some, move this over some. Zoom in. We'll select this, press S to scale on the X-axis to flatten that out. What I'm doing here is my thought process is I want to make these intersect. Here we're going to go to the sculpt mode. Well, we need to hold Control, press A, select all transforms. We'll now go to sculpt. Here in sculpt, we'll zoom back. We'll go to the, let's go to scrape brush to flatten this out some. Yeah, scrape is nice, works very effectively. I shrink the brush. I'm holding shift for smooth. Zooming back. Going back to object mode, I'll left click to deselect. Okay, I'm going to zoom in, select here, right click, select shade smooth. I'm going to select the hand first, select the second, select the main body. I did that all while holding shift. I'm letting go of shift. I'm going to hold, whoops, not that, okay, sorry. Select this, hold shift, select this. We need to apply our modifiers. We're going to go to object, apply all modifiers. We're doing that so we can join this to here. So with the modifiers applied, now we'll hold shift, select here, hold control, then press J. So you can see like now these are one object. However, these still have internal parts as far as like here as well as here. So what we can do is go to our voxel remesh. We're set for 0.02. We'll select voxel remesh. Now it's done. And we can see that this is joined together now, which is good. If you're wondering why I have the hands turned at this angle, whether I end up rigging things or not, I generally think when I make things, I tend to think of them as moving eventually. So I tend to think of what makes things easier to rig. So having that hand angled like this allows me to set up a rig easier for the hand this way. Okay, we're going to go to the upper left, go to sculpt mode. Okay, we'll come back, hold control, press A, select all transforms. Now we'll go back to the upper left, go back to sculpt mode. We have symmetry turned on. Whoops, zoomed in too much. Pressing F, holding shift. Smoothing this out. Some. I'm going to go to the upper left, go back to object mode. Okay, we're going to make a ninja hood, for our character. We're going to hold shift. Where 3D cursors at in blenders, where objects tend to come into Blender at, we're going to hold shift, press A. We're going to bring in a cube. We're going to go to the wrench, which is our, lets us have access to our modifiers. Select subdivision surface modifier. duplicate the subdivision surface modifier. Apply the subdivision surface modifiers. There's multiple ways of doing things in Blender. It's the way I thought of to do it right now. If you're like, why do you put on 2 instead of taking the level up to 2? You know, I'm going to press S to scale on the Y-axis like this. I'm going to press S to scale on the Y-axis like that. S to scale on the X-axis like that. Okay, what we want to do now is go to edit mode. The plan is to use cloth physics to have this form the Ninja hood. So we're going to go to edge select. We'll select here, hold Alt, press V, that lets us rip. So that when we held Alt, we selected this entire loop all the way around, right? We pressed V, we ripped this edge away from this top material, right? So now we can go to face select, hover here, and then press L, press X to bring up our delete menu, then choose faces to delete. For our Ninja mask, what we want to do is we want to select, oops, hold shift. There we go. Now I'm holding shift. So we select this area here. The area doesn't need to be that big because we want this part to fall over the eyes. So this is enough for the face. That's this space that we made here. Okay, we're going to go to edge select, hold Alt, select here. That selected the entire loop going all the way around. We're going to press E to extrude, right click. I'm going to right click. Right click sound like a quick undo. I'm going to press O to turn off the proportional editing tool. Push this down like this. I'm going to hold Control. One loop cut's good. So to make these, the extruding faces about equal with that. Now what we're going to do is press A, zoom back by rolling the mouse back, move this up, hold Alt, select here, press, we're going to want to turn the proportional editing tool back on, press S to scale to bring that out like that. We're going to press O to turn off the proportional editing tool. We're going to press A to select everything, press S to scale to make this slightly wider like that. We'll left click to deselect. I want to go to the upper left, go to object mode now. So we're in object mode. Okay, we're going to move this up so we can see the face. We need to, well, before we do that, we're going to select here. We're going to add on a subdivision surface modifier, select the arrow, select, put another one on, apply that, apply this. So just so you can remember in the future, we put on a cube, we put on 2 subdivision surfaces to get our basic shape, and then we shaped our Ninja hood, and then we put an additional 2 subdivision surface modifiers on and then applied them, right? So now with those applied, we're going to select our face. The reason why we're selecting our face, well, not our head, I should say. We put a collision on the body before, but not on the head. We kept the head separate for detail, right? Was the plan. So now we're going to go to our physics tab, add a collision onto the head. We're doing that so that this will be able to interact with the head once we put cloth physics on. So now we'll select here. We're going to not here. We want the wrench. We want to go to add modifier, cloth. This fell because this isn't at the beginning. This being the timeline as at the beginning. So now with that done, we need to go to physics to set up the settings. The settings are easy. We need to go down to where we see shape. If this is shut, select the arrow and you'll see these options. Put a check mark next to self collisions. So now with that done, we should be able to run our simulation, which should give us hopefully a decent looking Ninja hood. Okay, before we run the simulation, we need to select on the actual head, put a collision modifier on. So now that the collision modifier is on, now we are prepared to run the simulation. Okay, I'm about to press play, which will let the simulation run. We'll probably let this run to about frame 75. Okay, I like how this turned out. Okay, so I'm going to right click, select shade smooth. One thing you should be aware of is when you run a simulation. I mean, Blender 2.92's cloth simulation, I think, is amazing. It's simple to use. It's excellent. Settings that you can quickly, where you can quickly change things. If you click these buttons here, see where you see this, or that button there, cotton, denim, leather, rubber, silk. This changes your presets, and this will change how your cloth looks. So if you want to get a different look, you might want to come and try some of these different presets here. Okay, I want to be able to adjust as well as work with this Ninja hood like I would any other object in Blender. However, we still have modifiers on this. So to have this be set up so we can work with it like any other object, we're going to go to Object, go to Apply, and then select Apply All Modifiers. Okay, what I like about this is I like how the hood hangs. I like how it has the wrinkle structure in here. However, I don't want it to be quite that long, so we can easily deal with this by pressing S to scale on the Z axis like this. I'm going to make it somewhat smaller by pressing S to scale. So now we're going to go to the upper left, then go to sculpt mode. Oh, let's go back to object mode. Let's apply our transforms, Control A, select all transforms. Now go to the upper left. Now go to sculpt mode. So we have this here. So let's go to our inflate brush. I'll hold Control as well as the middle mouse button to zoom in. We're able to. I don't have symmetry on, which I think is a good thing when you're working with cloth after a simulation. Though it sometimes it can help. So kind of depends on the situation. Here I'm glad that it's not on. I'm talking about symmetry. So we have this coming out fairly far. Go to the snake hook brush. I find that when you're dealing with things like cloth simulations, it's better to do gradual pushes rather than one long push. Pressed F to shrink my brush. Now I held Shift to smooth brush. I'm going to go to the upper left, go to object mode. Okay, I want to increase the geometry for this, so I'm going to go to add modifier, put a subdivision surface on, apply that. I want there to be thickness on the edge of the mask. I'm going to edit the mask. I'm going to edit mode. I'm going to hold Control as well as the middle mouse button to do a smooth zoom. With edge select on, I'm going to hold Shift, hold Alt, select the edge. I'm going to press E to extrude. I'm going to right click. So I made the extrusion line. Doesn't look like I did anything, but there's an extrusion line. Because I have that extrusion line, now I can press S to scale. So you can see that extrusion there, right? So now I'm going to pull this extrusion back like that. I want there to be a sharp line. Pull this back more like that. So I'm going to hold Shift, hold Alt, select the edge here. Still holding Shift and Alt, selecting the edge there, right? I'm going to put a bevel here. A bevel, when you put two lines close to each other, tends to make things look sharp, all right? So I have this line here. The bevel's going to split this line into three with what I'm going to show you next. I have this here. I'm going to press C to deselect. I press C, held the middle mouse button. I had one edge there selected to deselect there. I'm going to hold Control, press B. Then I'm going to hold Shift. Shift lets me have fine selection. So I put a double line, and I'm going to roll the mouse one time. Left click to lock that in. So now I have this hard edge with that thickness. That's what I wanted. I want this to not intersect there. Same thing here. So I'm selecting near here. I'm going to press O to turn on the proportional editing. I'm going to press G and then Y. Shrink my area of influence to have that not intersect. I also want more of the face to show. So I'm going to press C. When I say face, I guess I mean more of the Ninja Master show. So I'm selecting this so that I can, I'm going to hold Control as well as the middle mouse button to zoom. So I can press G and then Z to pull that down. Press G and Z like that. I'll left click to deselect. I'll go to the upper left, then go to object mode. Okay, we're about to start putting textures on here. To have our textures look correct, we want to unwrap these things. When I say these things, I'm talking about the cloth fabric, basically, right? One of the advantages of using cloth sewing is your clothes basically are flat because we didn't apply the solidify modifier. This is very easy to unwrap most of this, what we see in front of us. So I'm going to go to, for the hood, I'm going to go to edit mode. I'm going to hold Control to give me a smooth zoom. I'm going to go to edge select, hold Alt, select that edge there. I'm going to hold Control, press E. This brings up our edges menu. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to select the mark seam. These seams that I'm putting in are going to allow the mesh that we're working with to lay flat in our UV editing mode. And that allows for textures to be put on them where they look good from them laying flat. So the purposes of these seams are to lay out 3D geometry as if it's flat like clothing. And then in this case, this is 3D clothing. So what I'm doing here, I'm going to put a line here. And I'm putting these lines here. I'm putting these lines so that this will lay out flat. I'm going to hold Control, press E, select mark seam. Hopefully you'll understand more if you're not used to texturing. I'm going to hold Alt, select here. Control E, select mark seam, and then left click to lock in, or left click to deselect. Okay, if you're new to texturing in Blender, textures, it used to be where computers had less power, that a lot of times artists would use texturing to do a lot of the work details as far as 3D models, character meshes, things like that. Now we can put a lot more detail in. However, I'm learning myself more that even though we can add more detail in, the textures still do a lot. So these seams we're putting in are going to allow us to have our the textures. When I say textures, I mean taking an image. So in this case, we're going to take an image of fabric, right? And we're going to put that fabric image on here. So even though this is, for the most part, a flat mesh, like it's not It's it's a piece of it's not that detailed. The fabric texture will make this look a lot more detailed and make it look nice. So what we want to do is I have this unwrapped, right? Or not unwrapped. Sorry, I have the seams put in this to unwrap it. So what I want to do is I'll go to face select A, right? I'm going to go to this UV editing. All these tabs up here are, we can get to these different modes by going, I can stay in my layout and move to this UV editing. I don't have to go up here. I just want to be clear about this. However, if you use these tabs, these are set up so that when you go to do something like UV editing, it's easier for you. So I'm going to select here. So this is our piece of mesh that I have seams in. If this, one of the ways you can tell if something is unwrapped correctly is you'll see it lay out flat. All right, so I'm going to press U, and then this brings up our UV mapping menu. I'm going to select unwrap. And for the most part, this is laid out flat. So this is doing what we want. Okay, when it comes to putting, like if you're brand new to 3D, if it comes to putting colors on things, there's materials, and then there's texture. So materials is kind of like when you select the mesh, you put a color on it. Textures when you put an image on it. We want to go through and make sure that these things are laid out flat. Now, the way I have this is, this isn't the ideal way to lay this out. I mean, you want it flat. You want this space taken up. However, this tutorial is already fairly long. We still have a decent amount of work to do. So I'm going to try to go through this. So you need your 3D mesh to lay out flat. However, you also want to take advantage of like this this square board. Typically, you want to have this spread out on the board to take up as much space as or as optimally as possible. So anyway, I'm going to left click here. I'm going to go to object mode. I'm going to select this mask here, go to edit mode, press A, and then I'm going to press U and then select unwrap. So this looks like, I think it's good for the UV. So we'll go, I'll left click on nothingness to deselect. We'll go to here, select here, go to edit mode, select A, U, unwrap. I think that'll be good. You can always unwrap things later, by the way. This piece right here will go edit mode, select everything. The reason why you can't see the squares, if you're wondering, is because this has a solidify modifier on it. I'm going to press U and then select unwrap. That looks good. Go here to object mode. We'll select here, go to the upper left, go to edit mode, press A to select everything, press U to bring up our UV mapping menu, select unwrap. I think we'll be good with that. We'll select here, go to edit mode, press A, press U, brings up our UV mapping menu. We'll select unwrap. Left click. Looks good when a mesh looks like it can be like it's laid out flat. That's good for the most part. Be aware there's multiple ways of putting textures onto meshes. There are other ways besides UV unwrapping, which is what we're currently doing. What I think we're going to do is start putting textures on here, and if there's an issue, then we'll go ahead and unwrap it. If it's not, we'll go with it. So I'm going to go to the upper left. We're going to go to layout. I'm going to hold shift as well as the middle mouse button to pan. Okay, what you're looking at right now is a Google search bar. We are about to enter into this CCO Textures website where you can get free public domain PBR materials. PBR, basically think very realistic looking materials. So we're going to click here, and this is where we're going to get our textures from. So what this website is this website, the person who makes this, as far as I know, they support themselves by Patreon. They provide free textures for people to use, which is extremely nice of them to do. If you use a lot of textures, I would recommend you consider supporting the maker of this website. I'm going to scroll down, and when you come to this website, you can look for what you need. So we're going to click on Explore All PBR Materials. We're going to select, we're looking for we're looking for fabric. So I'll type in fabric. So I like this fabric here. So here's what the fabric will look like. These are different sizes. This is in zip. This looks like this isn't zip. We're going to go for 2K size. So we'll click that. You can see that that is downloading. So we have fabric. Let's look for leather. Like this. We'll go for the 2K zip. So now that's downloading. I'm looking for one more type of fabric. Maybe this. I think I'm going to go for this. So we'll select that. Okay, so now that's downloading. Okay, we should have basically what we need. Okay, this is my downloads folder. I'm going to select here, right click, extract all. So we have that there. Select here, right click, extract all, extract. Here, right click, extract all. Excellent. So we should be ready to go. Okay, to put the textures on, we're going to go to shading. So this sets us in an area where we can work with the nodes in Blender. So we're going to select this Ninja hood. We're going to go to the right. We're going to select the materials property. We're going to select new. Once we do that, these two nodes pop up. This is called the principal shader. This is a whole bunch of nodes we're putting to this a while ago to make texturing things easier. If you're not familiar with this, be glad that you are working with this now compared to how it used to be. This lets you change the way how shiny things are, how the general look of textures very easily, as well as fairly quickly. Okay, I'm going to hold the middle mouse button to pan the view. One of the things you want to do now, if you haven't done it already, if you don't have it on, is you want to go to Edit, User Preferences, look in Add-ons, go down to where you'll see something called the Node Wrangler, put a check mark next to it to enable it. It is a Blender add-on. Add-on can be confusing because add-on can make you think that it's something besides Blender. It comes in the default version of Blender. There's no adding onto it. You just put a check mark on to activate it. It will make it easier for you as you work using textures as well as doing what we're about to do right now. By the way, you do not need the Node Wrangler. It just makes things easier. You can do what we're doing here without the Node Wrangler. Basically, that would mean that you would have to find individual nodes and put them in, but you don't need it. It is useful though. Anyway, we're going to go to Add Texture, Image Texture. All right. We're going to go to Open, and I downloaded those textures. To here. If you don't see, when you come here, if you don't see where you can see the actual pictures, you need to click this button with the 4 squares on it. Okay, this is the one I want. So these different pictures right here, they do different things. The main one you want is this one, is the color one. These other ones enhance the picture. We'll get into that some. I'll select this and then I'll click Open. So now that image texture is loaded into here, right? Because of the Node Wrangler, I can hold Control, then press T, and these other options pop up that help me to work. Most likely we won't use these, but these are here if we need to. The Node Wrangler made them pop up automatically. However, you could search through the Add menu and find these without the Node Wrangler if for some reason the Node Wrangler gave you issues. What we want to do now is take this color and then plug this into the base color of the principled shader. And then hopefully you can see that there's a texture on that Ninja hood now. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to click Add. And we're bringing in a way to make things look more 3D in the cloth. So what we want to do is we need to go to Image, Texture again. So here's that. Then we're going to go to Add, Vector, and you want, there's normal and normal map. Don't be confused. You want normal map. So once you have normal map, you'll bring that out. And then what you're going to do with this texture is select Open. And this here is where we were at before. So we should be able to go now. Interesting. Okay. So basically what I'm doing is I'm going through what I went through before to my where I have those files stored at. And we want this one, and you want this normal map here. So we'll select Open. And basically what's going on, I'll zoom in so you can see this. The normal map makes things look 3D. It's amazing what normal maps do. They give the ability to have a lot of detail without having a lot of extra polygons. So what you want to do is this color space that says sRGB, you're going to select here. You're going to change this to non-color, right? You're going to go from the color of your image to the color of your normal map, and then from there to your normal. And what that'll do is it'll give a 3D-ness to the cloth, to the texture. Okay, now what's nice is once you have this set up, and there's other things that, as a matter of fact, yeah, let's bring the roughness. So we're gonna zoom out, move this up. Roughness determines how shiny something is. So we're going to go to Add Texture, Image Texture. So I'll zoom in. We'll select Open. So we'll go through again. So that this second texture file here, so this roughness, we'll select that, select Open, right? So what we want to do is go right from the color into the roughness. Leave this, I think, is needs to be non-colored data as well. All right, so with those things set up, what we can do now that's nice is I want this texture to be on here as well as here, right? So what I'll do is select here, hold Shift, select here, and then while holding Shift, select this. Do I want anything else? Yeah, while holding Shift, I'll select this last, right? This is the active object because I selected it last. So we have the texture on here. I want to put that on those other pieces. So what I can do is hold Control, press L. This brings up our Make Links menu, and then I can select materials. And then now those materials are put right to the other objects, which is very nice. So I just left-clicked on nothingness to deselect. Okay, so I want to put the material on here. It's funny, here is our window right here. I'm so used to Blender, I wasn't even looking here. Where we can easily get to things. So with this selected, I'm going to select New. I'm going to go to Temp. And go right to our leather textures. So I'm pretty sure from here what I can do is I can left click to drag this in. This automatically makes an image texture for whatever you pull in, which is very nice. So this is the normal. This should be the roughness. So we'll go, this is going into the base color. That's the main color. We need a normal map for here. So add vector, normal map, change this to non-color data, color to color, normal to normal. And then this is going to be non-color data into the roughness. Excellent. Okay, so what I want is for all of these, a bunch of materials to have this material, so I'll select them. I'll hold Shift. I'll let go of Shift so I could hold the middle mouse button and rotate the view. I'm holding Shift again, holding the middle mouse button, rotate the view, holding Shift again. Now I'm going to hold Control, press L, and that brought up our Make Links menu. I'll select Materials, and now they all acquire that leather material, which is very nice. Okay, what we're going to do now is select the pants. I'm going to go up to this first fabric. I put this up top. This is the, wait a second, what just happened? Oh, there's nothing there. Okay, so we'll select the pants, select New. When I said nothing there, I meant there wasn't a printable shader. It wasn't a material in there. So now we'll select this. This is our main. Here is our normal. Here is our roughness. So this color will go into color. I know that's difficult to see. I'll zoom in so you can hopefully see that better. Color to base color, right? The normal, it's very similar to before. Add vector, normal map. This color space here, change this to non-color. Go from color to color, normal to normal. I'm going to hold the middle mouse button to pan down, change this. Well, we'll go from color to the roughness. Hold shift and the middle mouse button in the pan. We'll change this to non-color. Excellent. Okay, I'm going to zoom in, hold shift as well as the middle mouse button in the pan. I'm going to select the top face mask, select the bottom. Hold shift to make this active. Hold control, press L, and then select, that brought up our makes link menus. I'll select materials. So now those materials are there. Okay, I'm going to hold shift as well as the middle mouse button to pan. I'm going to select here. Okay, so that is the body. All right, so when it comes to human flesh, what you want to do is you'll select the body. At least in this case, is what we're doing. There's multiple ways to do different things. But I'm going to show you here. We're selecting the body, right? Let me zoom in so you can see this. So this is very, super smooth, right? We're going to go to one type of flesh. We'll go to add. And what we want to do is go to texture, Voronoi, right? We're going to put that there. We're going to go to add. And then vector bump. We're going to go from distance of the Voronoi to the height of the bump. I'll zoom in so you can see this. Distance to height, right? It's going to look very strange, so prepare yourself. You're going to go from normal of the bump to normal of the principled shader. And if you look here, I'm going to hold shift. You'll see this very strange thing happen. That's the Voronoi. What the Voronoi is very useful for is making things have like a rough pattern like human skin to this scale. We're going to take this up somewhere probably between 300 and 400. Go for around 350, right? Looks awful, right? We're going to change the strength from 1 to 0.1. Press enter. And now, if you can see that, now the skin has a roughness to it. So give the skin more realism. We can take down the specularity somewhat. Also, what we'll do, so now we have this here. What we'll do is we'll select this face head, select the top eyelid, daggone it, the one eyelid, the head, the other eyelid, there we go, and then the flesh last, one type of flesh anyway, Control L, and then we'll select materials. So now we have that there on the face. And when I say that there, I mean materials. One way you can make what you're looking at here look better is if you go to the upper right, click shading. Nope, not there. You go to the right, render properties, go to ambient occlusion, put a check mark there. Take this distance up to about around 135. Take the factor, we'll take this to 1.5. And you'll see that gives you a lot more detail. Ambient occlusion tends to make things look much better. In this viewport anyway. Okay, I'm going to zoom into the eyes. Let's select the eyes. Go to the Material tab, which is towards the right. Select New. And here with the Principled Shader, we're going to take this roughness all the way down. We're going to take the specularity all the way up. For the eye, let's click on there, select right-click, select Shade Smooth. So now we have a shininess in the eyes there. Okay, we're almost done. We're going to go to our layout mode. We're going to select the main body. We're going to go to Sculpt mode. Here in Sculpt mode, we're going to go down to our box mask. Normally it would be box mask. You would select this and then go to lasso select. We're drawing a glove out here, so position your hand, holding the middle mouse button, so you can see the hand without selecting the rest of the body. I'm going to hold Control Shift and draw a glove. So I'm thinking of like a weightlifting glove, like there. So then we'll go here to make this go up on the arm like that. All right, so I did, that was Control Shift and left click to do that. I'm going to go View Global / Local so I can see the rest of the body. I'm holding Control Shift, drawing this mask. And the reason why we're drawing this mask is we can basically draw out clothes, which is what we're doing now. So we're going to go to View Global / Local. So with that done, we're going to go to Mask, Mask Extract, select OK. And then we're going to take this thickness enough to make this look like we have more clothes, which is excellent. Okay, we're going to go back to shading. We're going to select here, hold Shift, then select here. Then we're going to hold Control, then press L. This brings up our Makes Link menu. And then we're going to select Materials. And we'll left click to deselect. Okay, I'm going to zoom back. I think that looks good. We're going to go back to layout. I'll zoom back. We're going to select here, go to scope mode. Here in scope mode, select View Global / Local. We're going to hold Alt press M to get rid of our previous mask. However, we're going to hold Control, hold Shift, and drag a new mask for here. We'll select View Global / Local. We'll go to Mask, Mask Extract, select OK. And then take this thickness up. We'll go back to shading. Okay, now what we're going to do is hold Shift, select here, hold Control, press L, and that brought up our Make Links menu. We'll select Materials. So now we have that textured as well. Okay, we're quickly going to add a material to this. We'll select here, select New. We'll select the color. Make this kind of like a grayish color, grayish tannish. We'll select Add, Texture, Voronoi, Add, Vector, Bump. We'll go from the distance to the height of the bump. We'll hold the middle mouse button to pan up. We'll go from normal to normal, from bump to normal there. We'll take the scale up to about 200, around 250. We'll take the distance and make that 0.5. We'll select here, hold, whoops, the strength 0.5. We'll select here, hold Shift, select there, hold Control. We'll press L, and then we're going to select, wrong. We'll say that's actually kind of like how it looks, but we'll select here, select there, hold Control, press L, select Materials. Actually, I kind of like that. I'm going to select here, hold Shift, select there, hold Control, press L, and then select Materials for that. I'll select here, hold Shift, select here, hold Control, press L, select Materials for that. Actually like that better. Okay, I'm going to select here, hold shift, then select here, hold control, then press L. This brings up our make links menu. Then I'm going to select materials. Then I'm going to left click to deselect. Okay, what we're going to do now is go to the upper left to layout. We're going to make some adjustments to our mesh. Okay, we're going to select here, go to the upper left, go to sculpt mode. Here in sculpt mode, what we're going to do is where we want protected, which is this top part, we'll press B and then box select. This here. So now we won't be able to move that geometry. We'll go to the snake hook brush. I'll press F to increase the size of the geometry. So what I'm trying to do is pull this to the side. I think it's better to do it instead of in one motion, in multiple motions. Also move this underneath. It's actually kind of neat how the cloth is folding up like that. I'm going to hold Alt press M to take away that mask there. It's wild because with the texture it looks like looks like real cloths. Pretty wild looking. Trying to pull this to the side as well as pushing it back without messing up the general flow of the cloth. Go to object mode. Take a look. I'll select here, go back to sculpt mode. And the elastic deform actually does a very good job of moving things without causing, for lack of a better word, destruction. Trying to get some of the puff, for lack of a better word, back in that. Holding shift as well as middle mouse button to pan. There's this shape that like hoodies have that I'm thinking of. Oh, shift as well as middle mouse button. I'm going to go to edit mode. Vertex mode. Select here. There we go. That point, I'm going to press O, G, O, there we go. G. Trying to deal with that point. I press C for paint select there. Let me go to the upper left, back to object mode. I'm going to hold the middle mouse button to rotate. I press S to scale on the Z axis like this. Then I'm going to go to the upper left, go to edit mode. Hold shift as well as the middle mouse button to pan. I'm going to go to edge select. Select here. Press V to rip this. Go to face select, hover here, press L. Hover here, press L. Press X to bring up our delete button, then choose faces to delete. Then I'm going to go to the upper left and go to object mode, left click, take a look. Okay, I'm going to select here, press S to scale on the X axis, something like that. Now left click to deselect, hold the mouse button to rotate the view. Okay, I'm going to select here, go to the upper left, go to sculpt mode. I'm going to go back to object mode. Hold control, press A, select all transforms, go to the upper left, go to sculpt mode. I'm going to elastic deform. I'm going to go to brush, turn on this auto masking topology. This should work very good for pushing these seams together. So we'll select this. Does work well. Okay, I'm going to hold the mouse button and rotate the view. I'm going to go to object mode, select here, go to sculpt mode, go back to object mode, hold control, press A, select all transforms, back to sculpt mode. Just fixing some of those issues there. I'm going to go to the pinch brush. This is so close it should work. Looks like it is for fixing the seams. Oops. All right. I'm going to hold shift as well as the middle mouse button to pan. Okay, I'm going to go to the upper left. I'm going to go to object mode. Okay, when you're working on a project like this, the more you take your time, the better results you're going to get. I'm hoping from this video that you have what you need to continue to improve your project. With saying that, I am going to bring an end to this video, or about to bring an end to the video. Okay guys, that's it for the tutorial. For all of those of you out there who like the videos on this channel, we share them. Thank you very much. I really appreciate that. And for those of you who are new to this channel, if you like the videos on this channel, you would like to see more, please subscribe, and thank you for viewing.